Where are we now in the investigation and the search for Dail?
We still are following many, many leads, and we still haven't found Dail, of course, and we're still looking for her. But the authorities say it's extremely unusual for a case to be this cold and have as many leads still coming in.
Now, Jean, I remember back when this first happened, and we marshaled all our resources that we could and went looking for Dail. We printed up the flyers, and we had her, you all appeared on a couple of television shows. You all had thousands and thousands and thousands of leads, and every single one of them, or at least a lot of them, were followed. Those were different days, though, right? We didn't have an internet yet. We didn't have cell phones. I mean, things might have gone completely differently if we'd had the technology then that we do now. But how do the investigators continue to search? I mean, how do they pursue leads at this point? How do they come in? I mean, are people still picking up the phone and calling the police department?
And I know one recently was an investigator of cold case files from Indiana who had a case similar and was aware of Dail's case and called our authorities in Columbia to say, hey, you need to look at this person. We feel like this is a good match to what this person's been doing.
Thinking the person who might have picked up Dail.
Yes,
Dail, just to be clear, Dail was declared a kidnap victim because that was necessary in order to get the FBI involved,
yes.
Right?
That's right.
And because she disappeared and no one saw her actually leave or go anyplace or go with someone, it was declared a kidnapping. That was an important distinction. And as Dail, I knew very well because she took care of my son, and she was this tiny, petite little thing, 5 feet tall, 95 pounds. I really could have literally picked her up with one arm if I'd wanted to. So it'd be very easy for someone to snatch someone like Dail. She was beautiful. She was an artist, and she's much missed and beloved by all of her friends and not forgotten.
Hey, what is up, everyone? Welcome to the Crack House Chronicles. I am Donnie, your host, and with me is a man that says if Rick Springfield would have wanted Jesse's girl, he should have at least known her name. It's Dail.
That's right. Come on, you got to know her name, right?
If you want her, you got to know her name.
Got to know it. What's going on, man?
Oh, ready to do another episode. What you got for us today? You got any good shout-outs or anything going on, bud?
We got a few shout-outs today on this rainy, crappy day. Let's see. We'll give a shout-out to my buddy Eddie down in Augusta, Georgia. Hey, Eddie, here's your shout-out. Don't be griping no more.
Eddie.
And also a little shout-out to Nancy down in Columbia, South Carolina, and to our 500 Facebook like Princess Consuela. You know who you are, out in Texas. Thank you so much.
Big state of Texas.
Texas. All right, Rockstar, what we got going on today?
We have got a case that happened about 2 hours from our location right here at the Crack House that I've never heard of until I started studying this case. It's crazy.
Time to learn about it.
Oh, yeah. And it's crazy, man. This is the disappearance of Dail Dinwiddie.
Not to be confused with Dail me.
No, this chick spells her name D-A-I-L.
Correct.
All right. To my Dail.
This is going to be confusing.
Yeah, it's going to be confusing. All right. Dail Boxley Dinwiddie was born on April 12th, 1969, to parents Jean and Dan Dinwiddie.
Dinwiddie.
Yeah, the family, they also have a son named Drew.
Right.
And they resided in Columbia, South Carolina.
Down there near the zoo, eh?
Yeah.
Riverbank, shout out.
Yep. Now, Dail was described as a bright and fun young woman. I mean, whose smile could light up a room, incredibly smart, and had an infectious laugh. And tons of friends, Dail.
She's very beautiful.
Yeah, she's quite beautiful. We're going to post pictures on our social media accounts and let everybody see what she looked like. However, while she was very outgoing and had tons of friends, she was also very cautious and pragmatic. She didn't like being out on her own. She didn't like being by herself.
I can understand that.
Yeah.
Pretty small girl, too, though. So
yeah, she was 5 foot tall and actually weighed less than 100 pounds.
Right, small girl.
Yeah. And looking at her physique, she could almost be mistaken for a 10-year-old child. Very, very small young woman. All right. She was a graduate of Heathwood Hall Episcopal School. Now, Dail also attended Randolph-Macon Women's College in Lynchburg, Virginia. And there, Dail, she earned an art history degree in 1991. And after she got her degree, she returned home to Columbia and worked several odd jobs, even as a nanny, before her disappearance. And she had plans to enroll in graduate school at Columbia University. So I think from everything I read and heard, she was wanting to be some kind of art history person. She wanted to study art history.
Yeah, she liked doing that and refurbishing or whatever. What do you call that?
Yeah, not refurbishing, but it was, yeah. She liked restoring art.
Yeah, and she liked to restore art. That's what she wanted to do, or try to find a job doing that. She really enjoyed that.
Yep. All right. We're going to get into the time of her disappearance because there's not much on her early life, but we're going to get into this part right here. And this happened on the night of September the 23rd, 1992. Now, Dail and about a dozen of her friends, they had tickets for a U2 concert. And this was at William Bryce Stadium on the campus of USC.
University of South Carolina, not Southern Cal.
Yeah, Gamecocks.
Right.
And at around 11:15, the concert ended. And the group she was with went to Jungle Jim's. Now, this was a nightclub in the Five Points region of Columbia. Now, Dail, the Five Points area, it's like a popular place for college students, restaurants, bars, artists who sell their craft out in the streets, different types of vendors all around. So it's pretty popular for those type of people.
Sounds like a good time.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. They went to Jungle Jim's nightclub, which is no longer Jungle Jim's. I think it's called the Horseshoe now.
Is this a big place? Do we know?
I do not know. I do not know if it was a big bar or not. At about 1 a.m. on September the 24th, Dail's friends left the club. They and Dail had gotten separated at some point during the night, and the group believed she had gotten a ride home from someone in her family, because she was always, when she went out, if she didn't have a ride, she was the type that would call her family. She had done that before.
Right.
According to her mom and dad, she had called to want a ride. So that's what everybody in her group assumed that she had done.
Yeah, because they live fairly close to this area too, right?
It didn't look like, from the maps I've seen, it only looked like maybe a mile or so, or less than a mile. So it was just, pretty close walking distance. According to a bouncer who was standing near the front door, Dail was looking for her friends at about 1:15 a.m. When the bouncer hadn't seen them, she left the bar, but returned a few minutes later. At around 1:30 a.m., she left for good and was last seen walking on North Hardin Street toward Green Street. And that was the last time she was spotted. So Dail, in 1992, in the Five Points area of Columbia, they didn't have security cameras.
Right.
Nothing like that. It just didn't happen. And cell technology, I think it was just getting off the ground too.
Yeah, I don't think anybody had cell phones.
No. So, that was the last time she was seen, was walking north on Hardin Street. All right, Dail. Now, at about 6:15 a.m., Dail's father awoke and noticed that the lights and radio in his daughter's room were on, but that her bed hadn't been slept in. And he was a little worried, and he called her friends, but no one knew where she was. At around 8:30 a.m., Dail's father contacted the Columbia Police Department to report her missing. And he still hadn't heard anything from her.
So this is what, five hours?
Yeah.
Something like that?
Something along those lines. From the start of all this, the Columbia police treated Dail's disappearance as a kidnapping. And because it was kind of, I guess, characteristic of her to leave without any warning, considering how cautious she was, or, not wanting to be alone like that. Early into this case, a $50,000 reward for information was leading to the arrest or conviction of the persons responsible was issued. An intense search for the local area ensued, including a look through Jungle Jim's, where it was found Dail had left a purse.
Right.
She had left Jungle Jim's bar without it. And I don't know if she had been drinking.
She had to be.
to leave her purse.
Right.
Now, I've heard too, when I don't know how women handle their purses, what the etiquette is on stuff like that. But I do know that if one wants to go to the restroom or has to go somewhere, they'll let another one watch it.
Right. They don't take it with them.
To keep from putting their purse on the nasty floor.
Right.
I've heard them doing that.
Especially in a bar at 2 or 1 in the morning.
Yeah.
College kids.
So, I don't know if something happened in there and she just forgot about her pocketbook.
That's why I think maybe she's drinking a little much. Because that's something you're not going to forget. Especially if you don't have a cell phone on your way home. You're going to have your purse, your money, your whatever you got. I don't know. You would think I don't know. Of course, you think she'd called her mom, too. So.
Yeah, you'd think. But, yeah, the last time the bouncer saw her was leaving Hardin Street, heading north toward Green Street.
Well, I was fixing to say, unless something happened before, and she didn't have a chance to go back in, but if he saw her leaving on her own, then that's out. So, go ahead.
Yeah. I would almost bet that she was drinking a little bit too much and
right.
to forget that purse.
Unless she thought she was just going to walk down the street and see if she's seen her friends at the next bar or whatever and then come back. Well, she still wouldn't leave it if she was there by herself. It doesn't make sense.
No, not to travel.
Not unless it was like behind the bar and apparently it wasn't.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly. All right.
Shoot that theory down.
Well, heck, you just don't know. An intense search of the local area ensued, including a look through jungle gyms, like we said, where she had left a purse. High school and college students who knew Dail converged on the University of South Carolina to help prepare and tack up missing poster flyers all over town. And by the end of the week, a local law firm donated a building to use as a command center. So that was pretty awesome,
right?
Them doing that. Throughout their search, investigators consulted numerous psychics, which resulted in even them pulling a car out of a pond in Lower Richland.
So they found a car, but not her.
Yeah, exactly. They also checked local properties with the use of ground-penetrating radar, dug up bones, which turned out to be from a deer. They tore up a floor in a Five Points home in order to find the source of a suspected foul odor. This family complained that they just started having a foul odor in their house. They even tore up the floor. Searched drainage pipes and everything like that in the area.
Even wells and stuff, right?
Mm-hmm. Even to help spread the word of Dail's disappearance nationwide, her parents appeared on Good Morning America, billboards featuring her image, and a plea for any information were put up. And U2 even displayed her face on a video screen at their concert 2 weeks after she went missing.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, for them to do that.
Yeah.
And family and friends handed out flyers even at all the tour stops.
And nothing.
Yeah. It's just like, I even heard a quote from her dad. It's like, she just vaporized. Here 1 minute, poof, gone the next. Nothing. Now, DNA from hair strands found on her hairbrush were uploaded to a database and have been compared to unidentified bodies found in the area. But,
yeah, nothing has ever matched.
But they still have her DNA on file.
Right.
Well, anytime, I guess, they check it against any unknowns or Jane Does that are dug up or found, they can check that stuff. During the investigation, police looked into the possibility that a Puerto Rico native named Ronaldo Rivera, not Geraldo Rivera. First time I heard that, I thought it was saying Geraldo Rivera, but no, this guy's name is Ronaldo Rivera.
Yeah, Geraldo's still looking in the vault.
Yeah, he's still looking for that stuff. Who was it? What vault was it? Al Capone's vault, yeah.
Oh, that was crazy.
But this guy's name is Ronaldo Rivera, and they thought he was involved. Now, Dail, he is a former Navy pilot with an exemplary record who had also worked for the U.S. Joint Chiefs of Staff in Washington, D.C. Now, in 1992, he was a student at the University of South Carolina at Columbia.
He had an exemplary record, but he had one little smidge.
Now, this guy, I would like to do an episode on him.
Yeah.
In the near future, so a little segue right there.
Write that down.
Yeah, we may cover him for too long.
Yeah, that's pretty close to all that stuff.
Now, Rivera, like I say, he was an exemplary record from the Navy, U.S. Joint Chiefs of Staff, but he has admitted to murdering 4 women in Georgia and is a suspect in many more.
Right. Close as they can, South Carolina.
So, it's possible maybe, her being a student there and him being a student there, maybe she saw him at one point,
Right. It's possible.
Yeah. And who's to say that
She wasn't walking and he comes cruising by, or
Yeah.
he's casing the bar.
and her needing a ride and knowing that she has seen him before,
Right. And her drinking.
little familiar, hey, he can give me a ride.
Yeah. And give her a ride.
Yeah.
That's the wrong ride if it was him.
Yeah. This Rivera he's known to have raped his victims before killing them. In 2000, he was charged with the murder of a police officer, and in 2004 was convicted and sentenced to death, plus 7 life terms for related offenses. Yeah,
It looks like if he was convicted of all of that and he has that big a sentence, that he would admit it if he did it.
yeah,
They're
because
saying they've asked him and he ain't talking.
Yeah,
He's not
I
saying
mean-
anything about this. Why would he have to lose?
serial killers love to put up their numbers. They love these numbers to get
Right.
their kill to be big numbers. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe he didn't do it. I don't know. Investigators have looked into the possibility of him being involved in Dale's disappearance, but interviews with him have not produced anything substantial, Dale. And no such charges have been filed. As well, police are currently looking into whether Rivera was involved in the 1999 disappearance of Paula Merchant, South Carolina, which we may cover her case.
Write that down.
Yeah, we're going to write that down. Write it down. Throughout the search, numerous criminals have claimed to know something about the case. Leading authorities have traveled all over the country, Las Vegas, Minnesota, but their stories have all been debunked. Nothing. All right. Currently, Dale, there's a $20,000 reward for information leading to this case. Any information. And like we said, Dale's DNA and dental records are on file and available for comparison. So anytime there's a Jane Doe that comes up, they can check it.
It's probably auto checked, wouldn't you think?
Oh, yeah. And this has been 27 years. And there's nothing. Nothing on her.
This is the oldest missing person case in the state, isn't it?
No, in Colombia.
Oh, in Colombia.
In Colombia.
Excuse me.
Yeah, the oldest missing person in Colombia. Now, the dominant theory in this case is that Dale was kidnapped and possibly murdered. But given how cautious she was and the lack of clues in the case, it appears to investigators that the abduction may have been carefully planned. And it's believed that she may have been taken by someone she knew, like we said, and possibly an acquaintance, as she would have entered an unknown vehicle or gone without someone she didn't know.
Right.
So that is very possible. That's very possible. Now, there's another theory believed that some online saying that Dale may have been a runaway to start a new life. I don't know how true that would be.
I don't know either, unless maybe she got pregnant or something that wouldn't go too well with her parents. They're being more, I won't say uppity, but uppity parents and that kind of stuff. Maybe then she's just trying to get away. But I don't know. That's kind of far fetched.
Do you think they would have frowned on something like that if she'd been pregnant? I mean, she was living at home, but she was 23 at the time.
Yeah,
and she was a woman. She was a grown woman.
That's true. So, yeah, I don't know. I really don't know.
But her being wanting to run away and start a new life, it isn't held by police or her family at all. And there's nothing in her background to indicate that she'll do something like that.
Right, and she was living at home, so it's not like she was really rebellious against her parents or anything. So maybe that was just, I shouldn't.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, maybe not.
Now, in 1993, the community of Columbia gifted Dale a Christmas tree located outside the Ladder 9 Fire Department. Christmas was her favorite time of year, and she liked getting together with family and friends, and it was decorated in her honor with lights donated by the Divine Street Merchants Association. And in 2010, the children of Epworth Children's Home decorated it with more than 100 ceramic ornaments. So she's been constantly in the news and put out there to try to find out what's happened to her.
And then nothing come up.
Yeah. And it's been reported, too, that people that she grew up with, some of her friends, that her disappearance has had a lasting impact on them. Personally, I don't know of anybody in my personal circle that's went missing.
No.
I can't imagine the impact it would have on me to know that.
And especially our parents.
And But they do keep a constant and close eye on their children. I mean, I can't imagine. Now, in 2016, Dail's classmates from Randolph-Macon Women's College dedicated a plaque to her at their 25th class reunion, which was pretty cool.
Right.
Now, for some contact information, and I guess to sort of close all this out, Dail.
Me, Dail, or her Dail?
Her Dail. Dail Dinwiddie went missing from the Five Points region of Columbia, South Carolina on September the 24th, 1992. She was 23 years old and last seen wearing a long-sleeve olive green pullover sweater, faded blue jeans, and a bright blue nylon LL Bean jacket tied around her waist. And it's a little bit of discrepancy about the type of shoes she was wearing. So don't know much. I've heard anywhere from it could have been brown shoes or to white Nikes.
Or some brown boots.
Could have been, with a blue stripe on the Nikes.
Right.
At the time of her disappearance, Dail was 5 foot tall and
96 pounds.
96. She was, like we said, she was
She's tiny,
small stature, and she had light brown hair with blonde highlights and brown eyes, dimples on her face, and her ears were pierced. And one finger on each of her hands had a slight curve to them. It's almost like a deformed finger. Everything I've heard. And Dail, she also had severe asthma, and it required her to have injections twice weekly, and the use of an inhaler also to manage her symptoms. And she didn't take any of that stuff with her.
Right, that's what I was going to say. I had read that she didn't take any of that with her, so the thing of her planning to take off was kind of out the window, I think.
Yeah, because
she definitely would have had to have that with her.
Yeah, with that severe asthma. Now, currently, her case is classified as endangered missing, so they haven't, they still think something.
She's possibly still out there.
Is very possible.
What they're thinking, yeah.
And if alive today, she would be 49 years old. You got anything to add to this?
No, I don't guess. I don't know. It's pretty sad. I was just trying to think back through the case. We kind of jumped through it there as far as what happened that night. They all went to the club. They all were drinking. Some of them started going home. It was getting pretty late. She talked to the bouncer. Everybody's gone. Then she's all of a sudden alone. She don't call her mother.
I just wonder, why she ended up alone.
Yeah.
We're all drinking, and I've never heard of anything of an argument between the girls or friends.
No, but if she was drinking a lot, some people, and I'm not saying this is her because I don't know her by any means, but just saying, some people drink a lot. They want to stay. If you're ready to go, no, I'll find my way home. You go ahead and go. I'll stay here. I'm hanging out with these people or that person or whatever, and I'll find my way home. Don't worry about it. I just live right over here. My mom can come get me. Well, we're going home. Last chance to go. We're leaving. Yeah, I'm going to stay. And then 10 minutes later, you go, damn, I should have left,
Yeah, and like I said, this was before cell technology, and
right.
And she didn't call her parents from that bar. The bouncer never reported that, and her parents said she never called.
Right, and then that kind of got me too, especially since she was known to do that, and they lived so close. And I'm sure they would have let her call, especially she was already talking to the bouncer, and he knew all her friends going, this small little girl going to be by herself, had to walk down the road. Mm-hmm. So I don't know, and then she just takes off walking, leaving her purse.
Now, we've looked at maps from this 5 Points area to her house. It's not that far.
No.
And the maps we've seen would have taken her through a pretty sketchy part of town.
A pretty rough part of town, I would think, the way it's described it, the way I read.
And it wouldn't be a place for a young girl, not a young girl, but a small frame girl that looked young.
Right. Hell, anybody, but especially.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to walk through that area.
No.
Late at night. I mean, so something could have happened there.
Yeah. Yeah, and there's so many different possibilities. Like you said, somebody could have drove up and bad intentions, and if she's drinking and that small, it's easy just to grab her and go. And then you got your sex trafficking people, stuff like that, and which that I don't know how prominent that was much then. I'm sure it's always been around, but I don't know. Her drinking and walking down the road, small by herself, is not a good situation for her to be in.
Nope, not at all.
I don't buy the thing where she took off to start a new life. Why would she?
Yeah.
I mean, she had pretty well off parents. The way I can understand the way it reads anyway. It's a nice place, nice house. Sent her to all these colleges to get her degrees and let her do what she wants. She was living with them, no problem with them. Everything was pretty much taken care of. So I don't see her trying to get out of that situation.
Yeah, but her parents haven't given up hope finding her. They're constantly getting tips all the time on this case. They even at one time gave out their personal phone number, home number, for this.
I can't imagine someone like this happening to one of my kids.
No. So, yeah. And if anyone has any information regarding the disappearance of Dail Dinwiddie, you can contact the Columbia Police Department. You can contact Crime Stoppers. Or, if you want us to give us your thoughts and opinions on this case, you can message us here at Crack House Chronicles. Check us out on our webpage, our Facebook link, Twitter, Instagram,
yep.
Anywhere, if you have any thoughts, let us know. We'll be glad to hear them.
Yep. If we get enough, we'll do an update. We'd love to do update episodes. So
Absolutely.
So we have some of that coming down the road anyway, but this case is fairly close to us, so it would be nice to try to find out what happened to Dail.
Yep. All right, Dale, we got anything else to add to this case before we get out of here today?
No, I guess that's about it. I don't know. It's just sad to me.
Yeah. But we love these type cases. Well, I'd love to do a case and then have it solved one day.
Right.
I mean, that's the icing on the cake.
Well, we're keeping everything out there and keeping the name going and pushing it to the front, and like we do all of our cases.
You know what surprises me about this case too? There's not much media coverage on it.
Mm-mm.
No, and there's very few podcasts on it. You can check YouTube videos on it, and there's not many on it.
I looked today.
It's not many.
Even then, they said they were on Unsolved Mysteries for like 1 minute.
Yeah, 1 minute segment on Unsolved Mysteries.
That's all I got on there back whenever that was. But yeah, it's pretty sad.
Shame on you, Robert Stack.
Yeah, what's up? What's up, you Mr. Creepy?
But I mean, I guess they have to pick and choose what they're going to cover and everything. But I mean, it did get some.
Yeah, and there ain't a whole lot to this. I mean, as far as information available.
Yep.
So I don't know.
All right, Dale.
Basically, they went to the concert, went to the bar, she's gone, and that's all we know for the last 27 years.
Mm-hmm. But her family hadn't given up hope.
And neither will we.
All right. We want everyone to be safe, be careful, and always be aware of your surroundings.
Because the next episode could be about you.
This is
the Crack House Chronicles.